YouTube. Laura Whitmore here, owner of Strategic Test Prep. Welcome to my November SAT analysis. I'm so excited to have you guys. For those of you that are joining us in the chat, just a quick heads up, please try not to talk specifically about the questions in the chat, okay? I don't want anyone getting in trouble. College Board could be watching. So we really need to keep it vague during this video. And also your questions are different than everyone else's. So if you ask everybody in the chat, hey, what did you get for this math question where, you know, they asked for K and I think I got 5/8. Honestly, they change the numbers, guys, for every single question. So you're not going to get the same answer as even the neighbor sitting next to you. So there's really no point in getting into details with the questions. I'm really excited for this video. I'm going to run through what I thought of the test, and then I have two students coming on, and I'm going to ask some questions about their experience. So it's going to be an awesome video. And then at the end, we'll take Q&A. So if you guys have questions for me about anything dealing with the test, I'll be happy to answer those for you. So first thing I'll say is we are taking new students for 2026. So the March cohort and the May cohort is now open. So you can head to our website, strategictestprep.com, and fill out a consultation form, and we'd be happy to meet with you to get you set up while we still have spots. Okay. All right, so let's get into it. Let me start with my expert analysis, and then I'll bring on my guests. Okay, here's the first thing that I noticed right away about this test. The math was a lot harder than historical. So I typically get a perfect score on math. Last November, guys, I got a 1590. And this test, I ran out of time with one question left on Module 2, which was super tragic for me. So there goes my perfect score. But I was surprised. I felt like even on Module 1, the math was a lot trickier than normal. Like even the first few questions on Module 1, it just felt like it skewed harder. I mean, it was doable. I'm not saying Module 1 was hard, but it didn't feel like a regular Module 1. The other thing that I noticed was the vocab was slightly tricky on this test. There was one question in particular where I didn't know 2 or 3 of the words. I was able to break the words down into their parts though, and based on the context clues, I got the question right, which I was very, very happy about. But it was touch and go, and it was really just me making an educated guess based on like the prefixes and the roots. So I'd be interested to hear what you guys thought about the vocab, because that was harder than last year's. Here's something really, really interesting that I noticed. I actually had the same exact reading passage on this test that I had last November. Same exact one. So that was interesting to me because I wondered if College Board was actually like retiring all of the questions that they used from 2024 and then designing brand new questions for 2025. That's not the case. They, I think, are just expanding their question bank every year, but there's definitely old questions still in the mix. And I recognize 2 or 3 other passages that have shown up on tests. Of course, the question stems are changing every time. So there's no rhyme or reason to, like, don't memorize the answer and be like, oh, on this passage about dogs, the answer was A. Because they're going to change the question stem and then they're going to change the answer choices. But yeah, that was so interesting to me to see that they're using historical passages still. Also, the question that I ran out of time on, it was a geometry question on Module 2 that has not been on any of the blue books. So I think one of the biggest challenges for students on this test is the geometry. And for good reason. Geometry is infrequent. There's not many geometry questions per test. So you won't see the same geometry concepts show up from test to test. And so it's hard to drill down on what you need to know for geometry, because a geometry concept might show up 12 months ago, and then it won't show up again until, like, you know, 12 months later. Whereas some other concepts in algebra and advanced math, they show up every test or every other test. So the frequency makes it easier to drill down and learn how to do those. So anyways, this geometry question gave me a run for my money. I think I had seen it once before on an official test, but honestly, I didn't remember how to do it. And I was kicking myself after the test when I realized what the solution was. Another thing too, you didn't need any of the bullet points, at least for my test variation. I didn't need any of the bullet points for the note-taking questions, which is really nice. I just read the question, picked an answer. But again, everybody's forms are different. And the students I'm going to bring on and discuss the test with in a little bit, I think they might have had a different variation of the test than I did. Last thing I'll say is the grammar is evolving slightly. I noticed no subject-verb agreement questions on this test, at least on mine. So you know the pronoun trick, the he, they, I couldn't even use that on this test. But I think what they're doing is emphasizing non-essential clauses more, using the gerund more, so that was kind of interesting to see. I think that the grammar was a little bit trickier on this test, and you needed to know nuances more than just general rules. So that's it for my analysis. I'm going to bring on my students. So let's welcome Ryder and Ava. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for coming on. So I'm really excited to hear both of your experience because you're students, and there's so many students out there right now watching this that probably can relate to you in many ways. And sometimes when I share about the test, they're like, yeah, whatever. I mean, she's like a SAT coach and an adult, and, so they don't really care as much about my experience, but your experience is probably more relevant. First up, before we get into it, why don't we just do quick intros? Just let the students out there know a little bit about you, your grade, and where you live, or just roughly where you live. Don't give them your address because we don't want any stalkers, right? But just roughly where you live. Ava, do you want to start?
Yes. Hi, my name is Ava Calandra, and I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am in 12th grade.
Thanks, Ava.
Hi, I'm Ryder. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm in 12th grade as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, to quote one of my lead tutor, Andy, he says, we don't play favorites and we don't have favorite students, but honestly, these are two of my favorite students. So I said, you guys
love you.
to come. Oh, I love you too. So I'm so excited to have you guys on. Let's just kick things off. My first question for you guys is, what did you think was more difficult about the test, the English or the math? Let's start with Ava.
So I feel like the English was honestly pretty fair. Definitely a harder, very hard English second module, but it was doable. For the math, the first module was pretty straightforward and you could get a lot of points on that. The second module, math, was pretty difficult. There was a few questions on there that were definitely time consuming.
All right. Yeah. Ryder, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with Ava. I feel like the second module of math was definitely more difficult than the blue books for sure. There's a lot of questions that weren't on the blue books that at least that I took. And then I feel like English was fair. I thought the bullet point, the note questions were definitely doable and pretty gettable. You didn't have to rely on the notes. And then for me, the vocab, I thought the vocab was easy for me at least.
Good.
I recognized a lot of the words. Yes. I think there's only one question where I didn't know two of the words. But
it was definitely module 2. The vocab was tricky, but you could find roots and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was driving back from the test and I was like, hey, Siri, what's the definition to this? Because I just had to be sure that I got it right. And when she told me the definition, I was like, yeah, I was celebrating in my car. Because that's always the scariest part, at least for me in the test, is like, how's the vocab going to be? Because that could make or break you. But I agree with both of you. I think that the English was super fair this test, and it skewed harder math, which honestly, this has been something that I've been anticipating because it feels like the last couple of tests, people were saying the English was a lot harder. But I do recall people saying the math was super hard, I think maybe on the last test. So sometimes it depends on the form too. Like some students might say one was harder and some might say the other, but I think we're all aligned on that. The next question that I had for you guys was, how do you think the difficulty of this test compares to like the Blue Book practice tests? Let's start with Ryder this time.
I thought the English section definitely was very similar to the Blue Books. I mean, as we talked about, the vocab was about similar. I think there was a lot of vocab words on mine, at least, that I saw on the Blue Books before. The grammar wasn't terrible. I did have a few verb agreement questions, so I might have had a bit different from yours. But besides that, I thought English was okay. Math, definitely harder. Second module. First module for me, I thought was pretty simple. But second module was definitely a little bit harder than the Blue Books.
Yeah, I never run out of time. I couldn't believe it. I running out of time with one question left, still trying to figure it out. Like, I was like, wow, it really, really caught me off guard today. But honestly, guys, I'll admit, I didn't really have like a nice time practice going into it. So I'm rusty. Like you guys have been practicing and I've been giving you time tests to do. And then we come and we talk about it. And as your coach, I'm just kind of like untimed showing you solutions. But when I got in there timed, I'm like, man, maybe I should sign up for December because I am so rusty. Ava, what did you think though about like the difficulty versus the practice tests?
So obviously it's more difficult because you have time, like you can see the time. On Blue Book, you can hide the time. And I feel like that's definitely a factor in any test taking where it becomes more difficult because you're in a pressured environment. Definitely, I would say the English was pretty similar to Blue Books. I would say the vocab was pretty equivalent. Also, I would say there was a lot of punctuation stuff where you could use like your strategies, which was really nice. Overall, I would say the math was just extremely difficult, and the second module, definitely you could not align that with a Blue Book test.
Yeah. Well, and can I just follow up with you real quick? Like,
yes,
not to put you on the spot, but I know we've talked about how this was like a low pressure test for you.
Yes.
You've already gotten accepted into an amazing school and you're just going in to like challenge yourself. How did you feel in the test? Did you feel lots of anxiety today? Because I'm an adult and I'm not going to school. I mean, you guys know this. I'm not applying to college. Every time the test is about to start, I still get anxious. And I'm like, why am I
100%.
getting anxious? Huh?
I feel like it'd be abnormal if you weren't anxious during this, especially once you start getting those harder questions, you're like, all right, I have to lock in. And then the nerve starts to come.
Yeah. Well, and this was a mistake that I made today. And I know I'm rusty, which is why I need to practice and do another one. I notice at times, because I feel like not only do you need to lock in, but you need to be like confident and assertive in your selections and stick to the plan. I started to veer off the plan and panic. Like there was
I did once or
right?
twice.
There was a couple moments where I'm like, I saw the time ticking down on the math module too. And there was like 3 or 4 questions I had flagged, right? And then that one I didn't figure out. And I'm like, oh God, which one do I go to? Like, and I started just jumping around, like, where can I get points? And I'm like, wow, Laura, this is not like you. This is not how you take a test. So
yes,
I think the panic mode is easy to happen to anybody. I don't know, Ryder, did you have a panic moment or no?
I don't know. I'm not a big panicker. I try to like stay calm. Like, I don't know, but I definitely like towards the end of the math section, I was definitely in panic because I had like 4 or 5 questions left and like 3 minutes on my clock. And I was sprinting around, clicking on each question, trying to figure out, oh, which one should I do? Which one looks like
exactly.
Actually, I hate to interrupt, but I feel like was panicking on the second module. I skipped to the end and then I came back to like the first 5 questions and I was able to answer them. I think I was just so freaked out.
Yeah. That math module too was definitely, you know, it was a challenge. It skewed a lot harder than normal, I would say. Risky Don says it was suspiciously light. I don't know why. Risky Don, do you mean the math or are you talking the English? Because I think the English was light, but just curious what your thoughts were on that. Laura, did you get a question with 3 points on the graph and you had to find the area of the triangle? Listen, I can't say anything about specific questions, but what I can tell you is I did get a geometry question that brought me to my knees. So that might have been it. I don't know. But again, you guys try not to get too specific in the chat because, you know, we don't want to get in trouble with College Board, right? So next question was, let's talk. Okay, was there a moment when you felt yourself getting in the zone? How do you lock in? Because we've talked about that. Like, do you guys have any specific strategies or like a point in time where you locked in? Like, just share a little bit about that with the students, if you don't mind. Let's start with Ava.
I feel like when I lock in, I remember I know this stuff and I feel confident. That's when I start to lock in because I remember I've done this over 100 times. Like I've taken practice tests. I've studied for hours. I feel like it's just remembering that you can do it. And that's when I start to focus and start getting problems and points.
Yeah, I agree that you can build momentum when you're confident and you know the answers. Like I feel like that helps me lock in too. Real quick, we have a question. It says, Laura, if I get like one question wrong, like the last one, how much points should be deducted for this? So I shared this with you guys before, but there's this website. It's called Albert.io. So you can actually Google digital SAT score calculator and it will give you like an estimate to what your score would be. So not to like go off on a tangent and like change topics, but I saw that. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. Let me just show you how it works. So once you go to the digital SAT score calculator, let's say you think you got them all right on module 1 English, but maybe you missed one on module 2 English. Put that in and it will show you roughly what you would get. So you would get roughly a 790. You can do the same thing for math. So it's just a nice tool to be able to help you get a sense of, you know, where you probably would fall. But every test is a little bit different. So, you know, there's a slight curve to it. So, you know, it could be, their estimates could be within 20 points or so. So just be aware of that. Ryder, did you lock in today at all? And like, what helps you lock in?
No, whenever I get to the math section, I lock in just because I like math so much more than like English. I'll definitely say, like, for the first time that like you gave me your warm-up guide, and I've taken probably 10 SATs and ACTs like combined, like total. And that was the first time I've ever done a warm-up guide. And I definitely think like going in, I just sat in my car. It took me like 7-8 minutes to do it. And I definitely think that helped me like, oh, okay, I'm ready. My mind wasn't like still asleep. I think that helped me like lock in per se. So that was a big help. And then whenever I get to like that first module on math, definitely I'm just like, all right, this is stuff I know. And I just go through it super quickly and then go back and check.
I know. And like, I feel the same way. After I got done with module 2 English and we took the 10-minute break, I went to the bathroom and I was like, okay, it's math time now. Like I almost felt a sense of relief where it's like, okay, now it's going to be kind of fun for the rest of the test. Little did I know how module 2 is going to be, but it was still fun, you know. But like I'm in the same boat as you. But Ryder, I think this was a good test for you because you were really focused on the English side.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I definitely think I did better than I had originally. I felt a lot more confident walking out, at least into my break. During my break, I felt a lot more confident. So that's always a plus.
Well, you can super score for MIT, right? So like I think you might be writing me a postcard from MIT. We'll have to see though.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, please. Okay, so next question is, I should be more prepared and know what's next. If you had one extra week to prepare, what would you focus on? And I started with Ava last time, so Ryder, we're going to go back to you.
Probably geometry, and then a little bit more Desmos, I think. We didn't focus a lot on math, at least for me. We didn't focus a lot on math, so I felt like there are some questions I could have gotten faster in Module 2 if I had like remembered one certain Desmos trick or something like that, and which would have left me more time at the end to like think out some of those harder problems. So probably a little bit more Desmos work, and then just memorizing some more geometry stuff, because I had a hard geometry question too, and I definitely did not get that one right. So memorizing more geometry stuff, and then Desmos. Probably one more week of just straight math.
So Ryder Mad Gamer in the chat said, MIT, bro, teach me the ways. That's awesome. I know, it's pretty impressive, right, guys? Okay, cool. So let's go to Ava. Ava, what would you go back and focus on if you had to focus on one thing?
I would definitely say maybe the logically like complete the text questions. Those are time consuming for me. I spend a lot of time on those. Maybe just trying to get those faster. It takes repetition.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with that too. They're probably my least favorite questions of all the questions. They're just out of control. So we can always use more practice on that.
Yes.
I agree as well.
Yeah. But honestly, my tests, they weren't that bad.
I got a really weird one.
Did you?
Yes. Okay. I got maybe 2 really weird ones.
Okay.
I had a weird like science one.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. I had a really weird science one.
Wow. I guess I dodged a bullet there, because I remember like walking out of the test going, wow, like I really got lucky with those logically completes the text. So, interesting. I definitely think we got different questions for sure. Okay. The next question I have is, what is your favorite strategy that you learned with me that you used today? So think about that for a second. Who wants to go first? Don't all jump at once. Okay, go ahead.
Definitely working 27-1 on the English modules was a big help, at least today, because I felt like the transitions today weren't bad at all. And then, in my opinion, and then the notes questions were pretty solid. So for me, it felt like a good way to like ease my way into it, and then work down to the harder like reading modules, and then we skip 15 through 11, and then we come back to those at the end because those are the hardest. And so running out of time and only having, like, if I'm guessing one question and it being the hardest, like logically completes the sentence question or passage, I'm completely fine with missing that one, because that was probably going to take me 3 minutes anyways.
Right. I'm so glad you like that strategy, because that took me like a year or two to develop that. And I agree. I think it just like it redesigns the module so that they make more sense and you can get more points. Ava, what do you think? What's your favorite strategy?
I would definitely say your grammar strategies. Like if you see something like a semicolon and a period are the same thing, like immediately crossing those out like that. Those are just easy points you can pick up.
I know. And that's why, like, every time I do a grammar video on YouTube, it's always the most popular video. Like, you know, one had 200,000 views. I just dropped another one recently. It's almost at 100,000 views. Those grammar tricks definitely are popular. So there's a lot of students that agree. Huh? Did you say something, Ryder?
You're popping off.
Popping off.
Everyone loves your grammar tricks.
Yes.
I know, right? Okay, so my next question for you guys is, when you hit a tough question, what do you tell yourself to stay calm? I mean, I know we talked about the panic, But do you have any tips as far as what to do to reset and refocus?
Definitely. I'd say skip the question and find something you're confident in and then come back to it.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with that. Ryder, do you have anything anything different or?
I mean, no, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, if you get to a question, you've already spent a minute on it and you still don't understand even where to start, skip it. I mean, if you miss that question, that's only one. And if that question causes you to not be able to do 3 questions that you would have gotten, now every question's the same. So you're getting 3 points off instead of 1.
You guys have both taken at least one SAT before today. So how does your experience today compare to other tests you've already taken? Let's start with Ryder this time.
I think today I was a lot more focused on English. I mean, we spent 1 week on math in this test cycle, so I felt a lot more comfortable with the English passages.
Good.
And like doing the strategies we worked on, reading the last, like having a lot of time after module 1 to like go back and check all the answers I flagged. Because in those long reading passages, I did a lot of the strategies you taught me, like reading the last sentence, and if I need to, going back up. But a lot of the times in those in those big reading passages, one sentence and that last sentence will do.
Yeah, I'm like so excited for you. I really do think the super scoring idea and then focusing on English was the right move. So, and I really, Ryder, like this couldn't have been a better test for you. Seriously, with the English being fair, like, I don't know, we'll have to wait a couple weeks to see how your score panned out. Somebody in the chat is asking me what my score prediction is for this test. Honestly, guys, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I definitely don't think I did as well as last November because of math module 2. So I think I probably got like a 1560. I'm giving myself a little wiggle room because I know I got one question wrong on math, and you never know with English. So that would be my guess. If I get anything above a 1550, I'll be happy. You know, I think hopefully that still qualifies me to tutor you guys, and you're still confident in me and my abilities, but I might take December to try to get a perfect score. So Ava, I guess I'm going to throw the same question at you. Like, how do you think that your experience in this test compared to other tests you've taken already?
I would say, it's definitely like a mental endurance journey. I would say I had a lot more of that. I had definitely more strategy prep and how to tackle different problems. I had more confidence overall.
That's awesome. As you should. And you worked really, really hard. I mean,
Yes.
like you were the type of student that I think other students should emulate as far as you were committed. You always showed up to your sessions. You always did your practices. Like you were just the ideal student. And, for people that are watching this today that are just starting with test prep, it really does take a commitment and a focus to it. It's not really something that you can just do once in a while. It's like going to the gym. Like if you're trying to get buff, right? You can't just go once in a while. You have to go consistently, like 3-4
It does
times
help
a
when you
week.
have a good tutor.
Yes.
You're welcome. I know. But
Some
no,
people just aren't worth showing up for.
I feel like the lucky one, though. I've been super fortunate to have you guys because you're both awesome students. So then I guess the last question I have for you is, and this is just a general question, is do you have any tips or advice for the students out there who are preparing for the SAT? And I'll actually start so you have some time to think about it, because I was driving over here to film and I was thinking about what I would do differently. And for me, it's have a good timed practice run before you go into the test. I was too busy this week to do that, as I already shared. And I was kicking myself in the test because my time management and my pacing was a little off. So make sure that you have a really solid timed practice and iron out all the kinks before you go in there so that you're ready with the right pacing. Who wants to go next? Who's got tips? Ryder, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
I would just say, like, do the questions. You're not going to get better by, like, obviously videos help. Zooms with tutors help, but you're not going to get any better at doing questions unless you actually do them. So you can watch all the videos you want, you can do all the tutoring sessions you want, but until you actually sit down and take practice tests and do questions, you're not going to get any better. So that would be my advice. And start as early as you can.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Practice, practice, practice. That's a very good suggestion. Ava, do you have a different tip?
Yes, I first of all 100% agree with that. Putting in the work is a huge thing in this. You'll be caught slacking, that's for sure. Definitely building mental endurance. That's a whole thing. It's making sure you're focused the entire time, and I would say investing in a good tutor, 100%.
And speaking of that, that's a great segue to, just as a reminder, we are taking new students now for 2026. So we had a lot of seniors who are finishing up, like Ryder and Ava. And so just one thing I'll say is, since we're humans and we're a small team, we just have a limited amount of availability. So once our spots fill up, they fill up, and then we have to turn students away. So now is a great time if you're a junior or a sophomore and you're interested in working with myself or my team to get going and get to our website and fill out the request a consultation form, because right now we would be able to meet with you and come up with a plan and take you for the next cycle. So I think that's it for my questions. Guys, thanks so much for coming on today. I had so much fun with you. Yes. And we'll see you guys all again, hopefully, for the December tutor reaction video. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.